You know that feeling. You're listening to someone speaking English, maybe a movie, YouTube, whatever, and you know the words, right? The grammar seems fine, but when they talk fast, it just turns into mush.
Oh, absolutely. It's like the
Yeah,
words just bleed into each other, sounds disappear, and suddenly you're completely lost, even when you actually know the vocabulary.
exactly. And if that's happened to you, seriously, you're not alone. It's probably one of the biggest hurdles for English learners.
Yeah, it really is. And the key thing to grasp is that it's usually not about knowing enough words or grammar.
Right.
It's more about the big difference between English on the page
Yeah.
and English as it's actually, spoken naturally.
That's such a crucial point because native speakers, especially when they're just chatting, they don't hit every single word perfectly clear and separate, like in a textbook or maybe some learner audio.
No way. Words get smushed together, sounds change, sometimes they vanish altogether, and there's a rhythm, a kind of musicality based on stressing important words, not just giving everything equal weight.
So if you're mainly training your ear based on written words, you're missing, well, a massive piece of the puzzle, what it sounds like in real life. It's like trying to learn a song just by looking at the notes.
Exactly. You need to hear the music. But look, the good news is this isn't some secret code you can't crack.
Okay.
These changes, they follow patterns. They're predictable, mostly. And like any skill, you can absolutely train your ears to pick up on them. Your brain can learn this stuff.
And that is exactly what we're digging into today. We've got a whole bunch of source material here breaking down why English sounds fast and, crucially, giving you 4 really solid strategies to help you decode it.
Think of this deep dive as your guide to finally cracking that fast speech code.
By the end, you'll get why native speakers link words, how those sneaky reductions and contractions work, like gonna and wanna.
Yep, and how to tune into the key words that carry the meaning, plus a really practical method shadowing to practice all this yourself.
Our mission: give you the tools so that fast, natural English starts sounding less like a blur and more like, well, something you can actually understand.
Because once you start hearing the patterns,
Yeah.
it really does feel like it slows down. It becomes clearer.
Ready to jump in. Unpack the source material.
Let's do it.
Okay, strategy number 1. This is fundamental. Native speakers just don't speak word by
Right.
word.
Not at all. And it's not just about speed, though. That's part of it. It's mostly about efficiency,
Hmm.
smoothness. Try saying, what do you want to do? With little pauses.
Yeah, it feels super unnatural, like a robot reading.
Right. So instead of these separate blocks of sound, what happens?
They connect them.
They connect them. Words flow one into the next,
Yeah.
especially, consonant sound at the end of one word, vowel sound at the start of the next, or certain types of words like helper words, prepositions. They just merge.
The sources all point to the absolute classic example. What do you want to do? We all know those 5 words.
Yep, written down,
Mm-hmm.
crystal clear,
Mm-hmm.
but spoken naturally. It morphs into something like, what do you want to do?
What do you want to do? Wow. Yeah, if you're not expecting that, it's almost unrecognizable from the written form. Your brain is listening for what do you want to do step by step.
And it completely misses what do you want to do. It just flies by.
So how does that happen? Let's break down that specific change. What do you?
Right. What do you very often becomes wadaya. That T in what often softens to a D sound, or can even disappear in really quick speech, especially before a vowel sound like the oo in do you. The in and yai sound often blend to make a J sound, like ja. Put it together, wadaya.
Okay, I hear that. The sounds literally melt. And then want to.
Ah, want to. That's everywhere. 99% of the time probably becomes wanna.
Wanna.
Yeah, that didn't just sort of gets absorbed. You don't hear want to, you hear wanna. So the whole thing flows. What do y'all want to do?
It really is like the end of one word just spills into the start of the next. The source material had some other good examples too, like, did you eat?
Which sounds like,
Did you eat?
did you eat? Exactly. Same thing. Did ends in D. You starts with the I. Makes that J sound. Did ya?
And the phrase you probably hear a million times a day, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. That don't know combo just shrinks. The tall goes, the vowels get quicker, less distinct. Dunno.
Makes sense.
Oh.
And another really common one, I am gonna go.
Okay, that one's got a few things happening. I am contracts to, I'm right. We see that written.
Yeah.
And going to almost always reduces to gonna.
Gonna.
So the whole thing becomes, I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna go.
Right.
Okay, so hearing this like stream of sound,
Mm-hmm.
your brain has to learn that what I isn't gibberish. It means what do you?
Right. And didja means did you. Dunno means don't know. Gonna means going to. They become like new sound units
Yeah.
representing the linked words.
And that's the disconnect, isn't it? Learners know the words on the page, but haven't tuned their ears to these connected sound patterns. Precisely. Once you start actively listening for these links, these specific combinations, it's like learning the actual melody of English, not just reading the notes one by one.
Which flows perfectly into the second strategy, really focusing on learning those common reductions and contractions you just mentioned.
Yeah, they're a huge part of connected speech. Reductions and contractions. They're basically the shortcuts native speakers use all the time to make speech flow better, faster.
Contractions are the ones with apostrophes, like I'm, don't, can't. We see those written.
Right. But reductions, they happen purely in the sound, even if the words are spelled out fully in writing. They're sound shortcuts.
And the source material flags, the really frequent ones you absolutely need to know. We already hit want to becoming wanna.
Yep. So instead of hearing, maybe, do you want to get something to eat? Nice and slow.
You'll probably hear,
Something more like, do you want to get something to eat?
whoa, okay. Do you wanna for want to something for something, teat for to eat, four in one go? C, packed with them. And going to gonna, equally huge. Instead of he is going to be here soon.
You'll hear.
Is gonna be here soon. That gonna is just standard. You gotta know it.
And gotta, reducing to gotta, like I've got to finish this or I gotta finish this.
Sounds like I gotta finish this, gotta. Essential.
These feel like, yeah, non-negotiables if you want to understand natural speed. What others did this source mention? We had, I don't know.
Yep, another great reduction example.
Then let me.
Often becomes let me. Like, let me see. The tot usually just drops. Me gets reduced.
Okay.
And gimme
Across there.
reduces to gimme. Gimme that bug. The V sound kind of merges into the M. Gimme.
So the confusion happens when your brain is rigidly expecting to hear, let me give you that, word for word.
Exactly. But what comes out is, let me give you that. And there's this mismatch, this friction between expectation and reality. And that friction makes the speech feel impossibly fast or unclear. Learning these specific common sound patterns, wanna, gonna, gotta, lemme, gimme, don't know, what on, dida, it's like getting the decoder ring, isn't it?
It really is. Suddenly those blurry bits aren't random noise. They're recognizable words, just compressed. You have to consciously train your ear to spot these sounds in real conversations, movies, whatever.
Train your ear for the shortcuts. Okay, strategy number 3. This one's about where you put your focus. You don't actually need to understand every single tiny word.
This is so important. So many learners get bogged down trying to catch and process every a, the, is, of, am.
The little grammar words.
Right. And honestly, native speakers don't consciously process all those either. Our brains are wired to zoom in on the words carrying the main information.
We filter for importance, we focus on the content words, the nouns, the main verbs, adjectives, adverbs. Those carry the core message.
Exactly. The function words, articles, prepositions, auxiliary verbs, they're essential for grammar, but less crucial for the basic meaning. And in spoken English, they often get unstressed, reduced, spoken really quickly.
Because English is what they call a stress-timed language, right?
That's right. The rhythm isn't based on giving each syllable equal time. It's based on the stressed syllables. And the time between the main stressed beats tends to be roughly the same, even if you have to squish a bunch of little unstressed words in there.
The source material had a perfect example. I was thinking about calling you yesterday.
Hear that? Thinking. Calling. Yesterday. Those words just pop. They carry the meaning.
Yeah, even if you only caught those 3, you'd pretty much get the message. Thinking, calling, yesterday. The other words, I was, about, they're quicker, quieter.
They're the grammatical glue, but thinking, calling, yesterday are the bricks. Here's the other example from the source. She's probably going to be late for the meeting.
Okay, stress words there.
Probably. Late, meeting. That's the core info. Likelihood, condition, topic.
The other bits, she's gonna be for that. They're sort of in the background compared to those main beats.
And this is something you already do instinctively in your own language. You listen for the key concepts. The trick is applying that skill to English learning to identify which words get the stress naturally and training your ear to grab onto those.
So stop sweating the small stuff, the little words you miss. Listen for the big ones, the stressed ones, the thinking, the late, the meeting.
It takes practice to tune into that rhythm, for sure. But consciously trying to listen for the emphasized words rather than every single sound makes a huge difference, especially when things get fast. You focus on the important fish.
Which brings us beautifully to strategy number 4, a really active practice method called shadowing.
Ah, shadowing, yes. This is probably one of the most powerful ways to bridge that gap between understanding written English and understanding fast, natural spoken English.
Why does it work so well?
Because it forces your brain, your ears, even your mouth, to engage directly with the actual sounds of real English in real time.
You're not just sitting back and listening.
No. You're actively trying to reproduce it. The rhythm, the speed, the way words connect, the reductions. It trains your listening muscles, definitely. But it also helps you physically feel how these sounds are made.
It kind of reprograms your brain to recognize those patterns automatically, right?
Right.
Without having to stop and think, oh, that was kind of...
Exactly. It builds that automatic recognition. It feels awkward at first, no doubt.
Yeah.
Most people feel silly doing it.
Yeah, I bet.
But you got to push through that. The source material lays out a really clear step-by-step way to do it effectively.
Okay, step 1.
Find a short audio clip, like really short to start 1 to 2 minutes is plenty. And crucially, it needs to be real spoken English.
Not slowed down learner stuff.
Right. Movie dialogue, a bit from a podcast you like, a YouTube interview, whatever. Something authentic, spoken at natural speed.
Got it. Step 2.
Listen to it at least once, maybe twice, without looking at any text or subtitles. Just listen for the main idea. What's it about? Get the gist. Don't stress about details yet.
Okay, just first. Step 3.
Let's listen again. This time, maybe listen a bit more actively. See if you can notice any connections or reductions now that you know what to listen for. Just pay attention. Preparing yourself.
And then step 4 is the actual shadowing.
Yep, this is the core exercise. Play the clip again. And this time, you speak along with the speaker, or like a split second behind them, like an echo.
Okay.
And you try your absolute best to match everything, their pronunciation, their rhythm, the ups and downs, the speed, and especially how they link words, and use those reductions like wanna or gonna.
So don't read it like separate words. Copy the sound stream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Copy the sounds you hear. If they say gonna, you say gonna, even if you know it's going to. If they say wadaya, you say wadaya. It'll feel weird, maybe messy. That's fine. The whole point is getting your mouth and ears working together at that natural pace.
What if the natural speed is just way too fast to even try it first?
Good question. The source suggests using the playback speed controls. Slow down a bit, maybe to 0.75x speed. Practice shadowing at that slower speed until it feels a bit more comfortable.
Right.
Then gradually increases back to normal speed. The key is the active engagement with the sounds, even if you need to slow it down initially.
Okay, makes sense. Shall we try a few quick examples like the source suggested? We can say it slow, then natural, break it down, and you listening can try shadowing the natural version.
Let's do it. Remember, listeners, don't worry about perfection.
Yeah.
Just try to mimic.
First one, super common casual question. Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Slow. Hey, what are you doing this weekend?
Okay, now naturally it compresses. Sounds more like, hey, what are you doing this weekend?
Okay, the change is there. What are you becomes that wadaya sound.
Yep.
And doing often becomes doing. That final G sound gets dropped, which is really common in informal speech.
Right. So listen again to the natural speed and try to shadow it right after me. Mimic that what are you doing flow. Ready? Hey, what are you doing this weekend?
Implied pause for listener practice.
How'd that feel? Maybe a bit strange. Try one more time. Focus on copying that sound shape.
Hey, what are you doing this weekend?
Implied pause for listener practice. Nice. Just getting used to making those faster connected sounds.
Okay, second example from the source. Asking for help. Can you help me with this? Slow. Can you help me with this?
And naturally, often sounds like, can you help me with this?
All right, breakdown. Can you often reduces to can ya. The vowel gets shorter, weaker.
Yeah, unstressed. And help me often links really tightly. It can almost sound like hell me, with the me sound being super short.
Okay, ready to shadow the natural version. Listen and repeat immediately. Can you help me with this?
Implied pause for listener practice.
How is the help me link? Feel that connection. Try again.
Can you help me with this?
Implied pause for listener practice. Excellent. Feeling those connections is so important.
Okay, third practice example. Expressing surprise. I didn't know that. Slow. I didn't know that.
Natural speed often sounds like, I don't know that.
Right. Let's unpack. I don't know that.
Yeah.
That didn't can get really reduced. Sometimes it's sounding like din or dn, especially before no. And know that links up. The W sound in no can connect to the in that, and the vowel in that might reduce too. Know that.
That didn't reduction is super common, but tricky. Okay, listen to the natural speed, shadow along. I don't know that.
Implied pause for listener practice.
Give it one more go. Try to really hit that dunno sound and the smooth link.
I don't know that.
Implied pause for listener practice. Fantastic. Getting your mouth used to these shapes helps your ear recognize them.
Okay, one more little drill from the source, putting a couple of these together. We'll just say it naturally, remind you of the changes, then use shadow.
The sentence is, what are you going to do later?
Okay, we've seen these bits, right? What are you becomes,
What are ya
and going to become.
gonna?
So the full natural flow is, what are you going to do later?
All right, listen closely to that whole stream of sound, then shadow it. Focus on the connections and the rhythm. Ready? What are you going to do later?
Implied pause for listener practice.
Okay, one more time shadowing that. Feel the flow. What are you going to do later?
Implied pause for listener practice.
Awesome job tackling those. Look, shadowing feels weird at first, maybe messy. That's totally normal.
Yeah, but doing it consistently, even just 5 minutes a day, focused practice like this, it's incredibly effective. It literally retrains your brain to process these sounds at speed and recognize them without thinking.
It's like active workout for your ears and your speech muscles.
Exactly. You're programming yourself for natural speech patterns.
Okay, so we've covered why English sounds fast, the connections, the reductions. We talked about focusing on stress, not every word. And we've got this powerful practice method, shadowing. Now, it's time for your challenge.
Yes, your practical task, based right on the source material's advice, to actually start training your ear today. Because listening passively helps a bit, but active training is where the real progress happens.
Step 1. Go find a short audio clip. Like we said, 1-2 minutes is perfect to start. Make sure it's real, natural, spoken English movie scene, interview clip, podcast bit, whatever interests you.
Step 2. Listen to it, at least twice. First time, just get the main idea of what's going on. Second time, listen more closely. Can you hear any connections? Any reduced words like gonna or wanna? Which words sound stressed, louder, clearer? Just notice things.
Step 3. Now do the shadowing. Play the clip and speak along right after the speaker. Try to match their rhythm, their speed, how they link words. Copy the sound, not the written words.
And remember, if it's too fast at first, use that playback speed control. Slow it down to 0.8x or 0.75x. Practice there, then build back up. Progress, not perfection, is the goal.
It'll feel awkward, maybe your tongue gets tied. Totally fine. Just keep mimicking the sounds as best you can.
And hey, if you really want to level up, the source suggests recording yourself shadowing.
Ooh, brave.
Yeah, then listen back to your recording and compare it to the original. Where are you close? Where are the big differences? That kind of feedback is gold.
We genuinely want to know how this goes for you. Seriously. Find us online, leave a comment. What clip did you pick? What felt hardest about shadowing? The speed, the connections.
Yeah, did you notice any specific words changing sound? Sharing your experience helps other learners too.
Absolutely. And hey, if you have a friend learning English, share this deep dive with them. Try the shadowing challenge together. Practicing out loud really helps cement it.
So wrapping this up, remember, understanding fast English isn't magic. It's not about just wishing people would slow down.
Right.
It's a skill you build. By understanding how native speakers really talk, connecting words, reducing sounds, stressing key info, and by actively training your ears with methods like shadowing.
The more you expose yourself to real English and the more you actively practice listening for and mimicking these patterns, the better your brain gets at it.
English will start to sound slower, clearer, less like noise, more like conversation. Your listening skills will definitely improve.
And think about what that really unlocks. Being able to understand fast, natural English. It's not just about language, is it? It's about connection.
Totally. It opens doors to culture, enjoying movies, without constantly rewinding, getting jokes in podcasts, having real, spontaneous chats with people without that constant strain. What doors does really hearing spoken English open for you? That's a great thing to think about as you practice.
That's a fantastic final thought. It changes your whole experience. And speaking of changing things, our next deep dive follows perfectly from this. Today was about understanding fast native speakers.
Next time, we're flipping it. We're diving into how you can sound more natural, more fluent when you speak English.
Ooh, interesting. So moving beyond that maybe slightly stiff textbook sound.
Exactly. If you sometimes feel your spoken English is a bit too formal, or you just want to sound more relaxed, more like a native speaker yourself, you definitely don't want to miss the next one. We'll look at practical ways to make your speaking flow more naturally.
Perfect next step. So make sure you're subscribed or following however you get your deep dive so you catch that one.
Definitely. And in the meantime, keep practicing that shadowing. Crane those ears. You can do this.
See you next time for the next deep dive.
Bye for now.